very transparent and very honest when it comes to when I make mistakes. I am running late, and I do apologize. I was so busy in building the webinars and the not the webinars, but the training, the new training, signals training stuff that we're doing, and so excited about everything that was happening. And because there was no news and everything was in my face, I don't know, the sun was in my eyes and the puppy ate my homework, whatever it is. I do apologize to everybody that's in the chat room that vigorously waited for 5 to 10 minutes for me to get here. So I do apologize. Today is February 1st. And you know what? Short webinar. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. And as always, trade well. See you next time. No, seriously, there's a lot of news happening this week. And so with the NFP happening and today happening with a whole bunch of news, let's just go have a quick look at what it kind of looks like, right? We'll jump over here and get right into the news section here, right? Here's Wednesday, February 1st. Yay. I don't know. Is it January went fast, right? January went really fast. Lots of news happened all the way through the middle of the night. Just started getting crazy. And then, of course, it hit early in the morning. This is all still GMT time, so let me just switch it over to my time because my time is more important than Paul's time. But you can kind of see big-headed news, right? 3 bulls, 8:30. The ADP for the non-farm payroll, which is a big thing on Wednesday. Tomorrow, there's a lot of big news too. 10 o'clock news hit us super. You watch that market jump all over the place. And then, of course, getting it all the way into even to the latter part of the day. I would not, and here's, and I'm going to tell you this as a dear friend, okay? Don't try to force fit a trade in today. If you can actually take the next couple of days off because the trading is so volatile at times, or train. If you're in the 5-minute signals, try to avoid some of the bigger news, but try to see if you can fit a couple 5-minute trades in there to get your training on. Don't worry about the win-loss in 5 minutes. Please. All you live traders should be avoiding the market like the plague, okay? Because today, tomorrow, and Friday, the NFP, remember, when I tell you to first set what you look for money management, what you need to make, right, to begin the process of CVG, right, this is really important, is that when you're setting your balance of what you have to have, right, your have to have is set here, right? So you need to know that if you have to have $3,000 a month, right, you're going to need 6, right? You're going to need to be shooting for 6. You're going to need to be planning for 6. Why? Because if you have to have 3,000, you're going to get stuff like this every once in a while, right? You're going to get a point where you're not going to be able to trade for a couple of days, or it might be here, or you might get the sniffles and have a thermometer sticking into your mouth all day and whatever, right? And you never know what's going to happen. So when you're planning your plan, okay, I know, right, Mr. Sniffles? When you're planning your plan, make sure that you keep in mind that, hey, shit happens. Stuff gets in the way. And that's the other thing. Learn how to plan for news being in the system. Do you guys know this? This is like rudimentary stuff here, that if you go to investing.com, you can go to the website, or you can also click on the little calendar and kind of do something like this. I don't know if you could do this. You could select the whole month, hit apply, and just simply scan all the way down. Every day that it's got like a big, huge news part, you could say, and plus you need to know what session you're trading, right? So if you're trading a pretty good session, like if you're trading in the morning, you're trading in the evening, just block out what time yours. Like if you're trading at 8 o'clock at night, okay, you know that tonight you got a whole bunch of Audi news happening, right before you get there, right? And there's one at 10:45 with the JPY. So man, even tonight sucks. All right, so you're looking at it as like, all right, tonight sucks. I'm not trading tonight. So head over to your Google Calendar and don't block in the time. If you got a time, like if you didn't have any news in here in the section, give yourself a notice on Google Calendar to say, hey, look, tonight's a trading night. Or if you're trading in the morning, trade in the morning from 9 p.m. or 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., no trade. Or put in there that, hey, this is when you can trade. Okay? Put in when you can, not when you can't. Put in when you can trade, and that'll kind of help you out. But you'll see that even tomorrow, There's a lot of little crappy stuff happening early in the morning, but then again, look at that 8 o'clock hour, really balls to the wall here with news, sort of settles out. But give this a couple of hours to kind of fix itself, right? Give this a couple of hours to fix itself, because what happens with strong news? Does everybody know what happens with strong news? You get this that happens, right? New stuff comes out, news comes out right here, pushes the market, keeps going up. But before the market was coming out, if it was coming down, okay, and this market pushed it all the way up, what normally happens after the news starts to die down? It starts to try to find its line again, right? It tries to find its line again somewhere, right? And that's really important. It tries to stabilize, right? It tries to come back to what it was, unless it was already down to the lowest of low, you know, and it's bouncing off of that, and then it's just going to keep on going. But again, this takes experience. This takes a little bit of knowledge. So give it a little bit of time. If between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock, there's like all these bulls and all this stuff, you know, give it a little extra time. Don't just like, all right, it's in a half hour and then I'm back in the pool. You know what I mean? Get into the groove to know how the market responds to this. Watch how it happens. You'll see a bunch of big bars that come out, and then a bunch of small little tiny ones, you know, and then another big one, and maybe another couple tiny ones to keep going in that process. And you'll notice that this will trend out. So you'll get this big huge bar, then maybe a couple big ones or smaller medium ones, but then a bunch to try to get it back to this position before it heads back up again. All right, so keep that in mind. And again, this week, tomorrow, for Thursday and Friday, trade demo. If you're going to be trading those times, trade demo. If you're trading live right now, take the couple days off. Do something with that, right? Does that make sense for everybody in the room? I hope so. All right, let's talk about another fly on the wall here. What has been going on? This has been a crazy couple of weeks, right? Everybody and their mother is like, you know, there's new signals, there's new training stuff, there's all the stuff that's coming out, there's DEX trader stuff that's happening, DEX indicators, you know, the chart system's taking on a new look, there's some ad stuff in there. You know, what's all this about? Let me kind of go through just a quick, easy overrun. Now, we're going to have another webinar tonight, but we're going to discuss some of this stuff with MACD. But for you DEX signals people, you guys started all of it, you know. All of you guys that are here, you people that are here, beautiful to see a lot of seniors in here tonight too, and thank you very much. You know, and some new elites. Welcome, Mike. The idea that data is like the best thing that ever happened in this company is that we focus on customers, and then we focused on data. Right? The most important things of this company are the people. Yay. And the data, right? Now, sometimes the people can provide us data. And what you guys have been doing secretly, right? Why do you think I'd have you keep a journal? Yeah, right? Does that make sense to you guys? Isn't that awesome? So keep a journal for us. I take that information, I compile it. For those that use the information in there steadily and you do very well with it, I take that information and I compile it and I look to find out, you know, how does this compare to the average customer? Because remember, a bot can come in, a machine can come in and trade and do so right? But then a human comes in and is like, you know, okay, let me see what happens. You know, all right, yeah, I think that's everything okay. You know, so we get a more consistent result here with information coming from, you know, success rates on how the machine does it, but no machine's ever going to trade like a human. You know, no machine's kids are going to come bursting in the room and make them lose one because they forgot to take it out, or they got into the wrong way, or what have you. So I get to see the human factor here, and this data here is priceless. This data here is priceless because it tells me what I have to do now to hone in. How do I get somebody to do better here, right? And what ways do I get you to do better? With webinars, with training, with consults. Do you guys see? Isn't that amazing? Isn't this awesome how this just kind of comes out? Not because I invented it. No, yeah, I didn't invent this. This is business 101. Okay, business 102 or whatever you want to call it, right? Yeah, you can slap on the wrist. Paul gets slapped a lot, but I learned that there's Paulisms, right? There's Paul. This is Paul up here. Every once in a while, he's off to take his kids to school and he leaves a trade on, or he gets in the wrong direction, or what have you. Mike has his Mikeisms too. Mr. Sniffles in the room. Sniffles has a couple of nuances too, right? Even I do. I mean, I may make mistakes. I try not to broadcast too much, but I make mistakes as well. So when the data comes over and we get to see things, sometimes what I'm looking for, like we have the daily signals up here, right? And the dailies are doing really, they're doing their thing. And then we have intraday, right? And then we have NA intraday. And then we have the SR Max, right? These are the four main systems that we have running right now. Somebody asked me about 2020 trades this morning. That's why I'm so glad I'm revamping all the signal stuff, so I know that that's not going to be in there anymore. So these main systems, when we were gathering data, are all birthed, right? All these systems here are all birthed from dailies, the daily data. And those daily data that we have gotten over the last year and a half has provided us with the availability to apply a trend reverse indicator to an hour trade and provide us with our current intradays. And of course, we were easily able to see that the lack of news, right? When we don't trade news, does wonders for this process, right? We're pretty much in agreements to that, right? I mean, look at this. Have you guys seen this? Now, the lack of news, look at some of this stuff that's happening right now, right? There are some things that are going on right now. This thing's trying to force fit into news areas. I'm just looking at it right now. And again, this is Wednesday, right? Yeah, Wednesday, okay. 8:15, 10 o'clock. Okay, so you can see the 10:30 block really took a big hit of news, right? And you see it takes a little while for this thing to come back at it, right? Because it's that blockage that I'm looking at now, right? So when I started to look at the intraday, because look at the intraday, I mean, it emulates the same process, right? So when I started to look at this part of the solution of knowing what data goes with what, okay? The intradays, we were able to make this system pretty powerful, but it still had some nuances to trade with. And then when we perfected it and perfected a system, we created the SR Max, support and resistance, if you want to call it support and resistance. There's a whole bunch of things. There's probably about 6 different things that go into that SR, right? And when we were doing this, one of the biggest questions we always get, when do you know what trade's going to go bad? And I never have a definitive answer for anybody, because there's a lot of things. And for me to be able to teach you every little thing on when an intraday is going to go bad or daily is going to go bad, I would need to teach you how to technically trade, not, to trade technically. Okay, let's just say that. All right. And something started to happen when I put in, when I'm testing any of the processes, right? Like with the SR Max, I put in a whole bunch of variables to the actual indicators that we have. And that's why we use the supercomputer we here have at the office and we were using before, okay? And then it spits out the variable information, with, variables of 1 to 10, you get a 80% success rate, right? And if you use 2 and 3, you get 92% success rate. But only in the New York session. In the London session, it's 81%. So we get a lot of detailed information that comes across. So one of the things that happened just recently is that as we were searching for when does the SR go bad, right? When does the trade lose? Because we were getting these beautiful lines, things were happening, everything was going good, and then all of a sudden we were losing a batch of trades. And it's like, wait a minute, there's no news happening. What's going on? There's no news happening in that process. What's happening that's causing that to go? And when we started to watch this in a live part of the process. And one of the systems that we had on board that we were using started to emulate what we call crossover, right? Event. And every crossover on any indicator is called an event. So that event that was happening, I put on a special indicator to have a look at this, that if it coincided with these events. And what ended up coinciding with the event was that we took a moving average convergence divergence process, right? The MACD, right? And we took that MACD, and every time the actual went over the average and crossed over in a direction opposite to our signal, so if our signal was a sell and we had a buy movement, okay, it was going upwards, this told us to get out of the trade. And it was giving us such an advanced warning when this crossover was confirmed on the bar. Once that bar closed, once it confirmed, it was giving us such an advanced notice that we were able to get out for sometimes a small profit or a small loss. But we were saving more than 2/3 of the profit, that, or our risk value, we'll call our risk value. We were saving more, 2/3 of our risk value. And why is that so important? Well, because any system has to survive the drawdown. And that's the biggest thing that most companies forget, is that there are losses. Can your customer handle the drawdown, the loss? How long is it going to take you to get back to that? That psychological battle that you get. Do you ever have a couple losses in a row and you're like, damn. Then you start counting, right? You're like, damn, that's 3.8 trades that I got to get to do today so I can get back to my number. You start calculating in your head. So I want to show you this. I want to show you what this looks like. So as we started to see what that did look like on the page, I did something else. I took the same MACD and applied it to the intradays when they first come out, because the current intradays right now use a system called trend reverse, right? So it spots the trend and then waits for it to weaken and then calls the signal, sell, and then it does what it does, and then you have an expiry right here. Now it still might be going up, but as long as it's below the line by the time that it crosses that expiry, okay, that's still considered a win here, right? And then sometimes it's a reverse and it just keeps on going, okay? But in most cases, when it's tricked into saying, oh, it's weakening, then there's too much push behind it and it fails. So I wanted to know, if I applied the MACD to this process, what would it look like when these trades fail? Well, when these trades fail, the MACD is showing an opposite direction with its actual and its average lines. That's right. When the signal comes out as, let's just say, the signal comes out as a buy in this example, the lines are all pointing down on the MACD at the same time frame, right? So if the signal comes out here, all the lines are pointing down, usually pointing down at that position on a sell side. So it looks like it's going in a sell direction, but it's a downward decline. So when this happens, they call this divergence, right? That it's in opposite directions of each other. And on the signals that it's converging, right? So if this was the buy signal and the MACD's actual and average lines are both going up, then this would be convergence, right? And this has the high rate of success here. Cha-ching. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Now, does it work every single time? No, because there's rules to everything, right? But let me show you. Let me get you back here so I can put you on there. Now watch this. I did this last night. I'm hoping it's going to work right down to 11:15 to 12 o'clock USD JPY a buy, right? So simply come down here, USD JPY, and look at that, sell, right? The MACD is coming down in a sell. This is the USD, oh, that's auto JPY. And that's the stochastic. Let me put on the MACD real quick. I did change them all over to MACD comparables on the process, but there is still some caching going on. I do apologize. Okay. So remember, that was the USD JPY that came out here at 12.15 that was set at a, or 12 at 11.15 for the 12 for a buy, right? And look at this. Or 11.15, look at that, right? So you had a crossover happen at 11.15. It was calling out for a buy because remember, it was coming out, it weakened, right? It weakened here and the system got tricked. And of course, with news and everything else floating out and it's trying to come back, right? So we just use this as confirm. If you got in at 11.15, you came here at 11.15 and said, you know what? It's got a crossover because the blue line's the actual, the red line's the average. When a blue line crosses the other against the actual signal itself, right? Don't get in. Do you see that? Now, how huge is that? That's really big for all of us. That's super huge for all of us. Now, so that means that if you can go through with even with the NA intraday, and it takes the news out, and you get a higher rate of success with the news, I can now probably even filter out even further. But again, I'm keeping this in here so the human element can go in there and do this, and then I can easily go in and say, you know, when this trend reverse validates with this, then I can get, you know, applying the validation process for all of you and showing us that it works. That's huge as well. Okay. Just had the epiphany. We can apply this MACD process that they're all pointing down at that time to even stabilize that process even more. But it is very easy for you to do, right? It is extremely easy for you to do. As a trader, you're on the page anyway. Signal comes out, Audi JPY on the buy for 1300 to 12.15. Audi JPY on the buy. Audi JPY says on the sell. Now, you are getting a little bit of a kick up here that's happening. You could get a crossover. This could become a confirmed trade, and you can go on but you only have until 1 o'clock. I mean, it's not like you got a lot of super time here, right? 1300. There's also a method in here too that if I take them out and I isolate all the trades off, and you get maybe about 5 or 6 trades a day per each session or what have you, could you actually take that same information using the MACD, if it's going to fail when it's divergent, right? Since it said it was a buy and it's a sell here, could you actually come down to a low point or another part of it and say, take a buy from here, right? Or take a sell from here. You know, so could you actually go to the other end, you know, maybe using the support and resistance lines as little telltales from your system? Isn't that pretty cool? You could do that. You could actually hone in, if you're using MetaTrader 4, you could actually hone in on that process by using your support and resistance as lines if they're strong enough to be able to trade with that. And we'll show in some videos tonight with using the support and resistance stuff as well. All right, so we know that today, tomorrow, and Friday, there's a tremendous amount of news. I'm taking Friday off. There will be no webinar on Friday because it's my fishing day. Even though that it's snowing out, it's a joke. I'm actually going to take the day and finish up and catch up on a lot of things. One of them will be sleep. I just did something the other day that from yesterday to the last couple of days, I went like 45 hours with like 1 hour sleep, and I can't do that. My family and everybody else is yelling at me. You got to take better care of yourself, and I completely understand. I got to be here for a long time. I want to see all you folks mature into trading and building more and more and more. This network has been growing so strong that more and more of you are beginning to see how this affects you in many different forms, from 5-minute traders to 1 hour traders to 2 hour traders to all day traders, everything. You guys are really starting to see how it affects you. And some of you are wanting to have more responsibility. And Can't thank you enough for that. So please reach out to some of the senior level 2 traders, some of the other elites that are there. Ask them, how do you get on board? Make the time to consult with us. I'm looking for other consultants, other people that feel they have this down, that they could talk to other people about it, because we need your help. Okay, you're an investor in this company. If you get to senior level 2, if you get to senior level, you get to elite level, you're on the path. Okay, you're on the path to become partner of the company or become a profit part of the company. You're here to learn more and be invested for other things that we're building, because we're not just building signal networks. We're building marketing firms. We're building radio networks. We're building other programs that we're going to be bringing on to help other individuals in other walks of life, from homelessness to schooling to education to all of it. And we're going to build these together. Our City Investments are going to build these together with the people that we have inside these chat rooms and the webinars and the people that we pull in. Now, how huge is that from some of you? So if you want to be more, if you want to be part of it and be more, then we have to advance. We have to get to the next level. I'm not going to keep you anymore from this point. For everybody that's watching after the fact, I hope you got some sort of information today for you being late. And I want to get back into doing more training and get other things on board. Anybody that's in the room, please stick around. But everybody else, thanks a lot for getting through the video. I'm Max Farrell. This is DEX. This is the pro webinar for DEX Signals. And of course, as always, trade well. We'll see you in the next one.